Hey, it's Bennett from the Strength Factory. Today I'm talking about flat pedals and how they can help you to upgrade your skills and improve your riding this winter and long term. It's really easy to think that if you want to be riding or racing at a good level that you need to be clipped in. There's a lot of well-meaning advice from people who've been riding a long time who, as soon as someone gets into mountain biking, yeah, you need to get clipped in, mate. Or you see all the pros, most of them are clipped in, and it's easy to think, I need to clip in to be a better rider and to get faster. I think that is largely nonsense, and I'm going to explain why in this video. So this video is for two groups of people. Number one, if you're a rider who clips in for riding and for racing, then this is for you, because I'm going to talk about why I think you should spend some time on flat pedals this winter. And number two, for riders who are also clipped in, but are maybe flat pedal curious. Maybe you're not loving the clipped in life, okay? And maybe this video is going to give you permission, if you like, to try flat pedals and realize that it doesn't have to be a limitation on your riding. So if you're still watching, then it means you're probably in one of those groups I just talked about. And I think that you would benefit from spending 4 to 8 weeks this winter or whenever on flat pedals. And I'm going to tell you why in a seckie. But first of all, let's just get you in the right mindset. And like many things, it's got to be a bit of a long-term view. Because in the short term, when you first get on them, if you're not used to it, you might be slower. So what? Is the goal to be fast tomorrow? Or is the goal to be a faster, better rider in 3, 4, 6 months or whatever? So have that long-term goal. I might be slower tomorrow, but in the long term, I'm going to be a better rider. Yeah, it's just a stick. Let's talk about the why then. That's the most important bit. Well, basically, I believe it's really easy to get a bit lazy with clipped in pedals with your technique. So when you ride flat pedals, you can't really get away with riding with your feet level, because then you're going to be tipping forwards and slipping pedals, okay? Flat pedals are going to encourage you to ride with a good technique and drop the heels. And then the upstream effect of dropping your heels is it then helps you to ride on a straighter leg, okay? Rather than in that squat position that it's easier to fall into when you're clipped in, because flat pedals, they make you drop that heel and they help you to straighten up the leg, improving your riding position. And then you can take that improved position back to clips if that's where you want to go one day. So if we're building on that as well, I believe that when you're riding flat pedals, it also encourages you more to really push into the pedals and into the bike, in particular when you're under braking and also as you're loading up for corners, but also trying to go light and heavy through certain sections of trail. Maybe you're going to go heavy and push through the feet and heels before a section of roots, to then go light over the roots to carry your speed over it. The opposite of that would be a less skilled rider who's riding clips, who's just going to go up to it and yank on the bike and yank on their clips basically, which we see all the time. Tied in with that is jumping. Again, you're going to see a lot of riders clipped in who they go over jumps and they're basically, like we've seen it, and I'm not judging, okay, I'm not judging, but you do see them just like lifting the bike up underneath them on the clips, and they think that they're you know, getting better at jumping, and maybe they are, but they're jumping with a poor technique that eventually is going to really limit your progression. What we want to do, and what flat pedals will teach you to do properly, is to load up in the lip, load in the transition, and then that deload where your then feet are just going to grip those pedals, okay, to go light to make the jump work. Now, this next bit, this is going to be controversial, but actually it can teach you to pedal better, to improve your pedal technique and efficiency. Because as I'm going to talk about in a minute, the idea that flat pedals are less efficient is absolute b****. The next benefit, I believe, of flat pedals is about your foot position and connection with the pedal. And that is that you can pedal in what I would call like a mid-foot position, where the pedal axle is behind the ball of the foot and is more mid-foot. And this is the thing, if you don't think about where you put your feet on the pedals and you get on a bike with flat pedals, this is where everybody puts their feet. You will not find anyone who puts the ball of their foot on the axle, okay? The only people who are going to do that are ones who've been told that that's where you should put your foot. And frankly, that's nonsense, okay? Now, why is this better than clipped in? Because actually, although shoes are getting better, they are improving, the grooves on the bottom of them are getting longer and further back. On most clipped in shoes, you still can't get the cleats far enough back to get a good mid-foot pedal position. Why is this important? Number one, it actually helps you to put more power and to use your hips more in the pedal stroke, okay? Partly as well, it shortens the lever. So if my foot's back here, I've got a longer lever and then I've got more work to do just to keep my foot and ankle stiff and transfer the power. When my foot's further forward, this lever is shortened and I can just apply the force and use my hips. And also, as you're going to find going down the trail, is that mid-foot position, you're just planted. When we train in the gym, if I'm doing squats, lunges, deadlifts, I want the weight to be going through my mid-foot. I don't want to be prancing about on the ball of my foot, so don't pedal on the ball of your foot either. Outspoken, I can't wait for the comments. The final reason why I think it's going to be good to spend some time on flats is to help you avoid the potential for what we call overuse injuries. If you're pumping out a lot of miles, maybe on the road or indoor trainer as well, and then you're clipped in on the mountain bike too, it's a lot of time in a very fixed position doing repetitive motion. And if something's not quite lined up, if you've got an imbalance or a tightness in your hip or somewhere like that, then this is where we can then lead to like knee, hip, lower back pain and things like that. On flat pedals, every time you put your foot on the pedal, it's going to be in a just slightly different position, or it's just going to allow you that little bit of leeway when things aren't quite lined up to pedal smoothly, okay, and to help avoid those overuse injuries, especially if you're getting a lot of mileage in. Right, I've given you the why, and now it's time to bust some flat pedal myths. And we're going to start with the big one. Flat pedals are less efficient. Honestly, they're not. There's literally no science or anything that I can find that actually says this is true. And in fact, there's an absolutely classic GCN video from a few years ago, which I generally wouldn't watch GCN, but where they do a back-to-back efficiency test with a roadie, a committed clipping and roadie, who then finds that flat pedals were more efficient, and he's in total denial. I'll actually put a link to it below because it is pretty hilarious. He just can't accept it because he's been so brainwashed that clipping in is more efficient and flat pedals are less efficient. But actually, they aren't. And a lot of people are also going to tell you, maybe they're well-meaning or they just don't know better, or maybe they even think they do, but a lot of people who clip in are going to tell you, but I pull up on the backstroke. No, you don't. You honestly don't. And if you do, it's going to make you less efficient. Again, there are studies that show that actively pulling up on the backstroke decreases power and efficiency on the bike. And anyone who just pedals naturally does not pull up on the backstroke with their clip, okay? All that happens is your leg goes light on the backstroke, okay? The power in a pedal stroke comes, guess what? From pushing down on the pedal with the powerful muscles of the hip and also the quad. That is where the power comes from. If you want any more proof for how flat pedals can be really effective, you just need to look at the Enduro World Series, now the Enduro World Cup. And you'll see Sam Hill winning an overall twice in a row on flat pedals, where you've clearly got to pedal to the top of the hill, and there are disgusting mid-stage sprints, including on really difficult terrain. And I know, yes, he's Sam Hill, he's special, but he probably, as much as he was a well-prepared professional athlete, he probably wasn't the fittest guy on the hill, and yet he was able to win the overall on flat pedals. Since then, we've seen other riders like Alex Rudo, Reese Werner, Alex Storr, who I now coach, happy days, all absolutely at the top of the game on flat pedals, and not to forget Morgan Shah from the women's, who has also won an enduro race on flat pedals. So I think that's pretty good evidence that they don't slow you down, they don't make you less efficient, and that you can be as fast as you want on flat pedals. Right then, so you're on board, you're going to give it a try. It's really important now to have a good setup. So a good set of pedals and a good sticky set of shoes that are going to give you the best possible chance of success. Grips and pedals have got to be two of the most important points on the bike, because they are the only 2 points where you contact it when you stood up and riding. And that is why I run the Carder 10-4 pedal. I've been running this particular set now for nearly 2 years, still on the first set of bearings. They got some scratches, they got some war wounds, but they are absolutely solid. Made in the UK, they do everything you need. Loads of pins are replaceable, they're easy to fit, and when the time comes, it's easy to service these as well, with service kits available from Carder. So check out the link in the description to Carder pedals. I really like the 10-4. They do have a cheaper model as well that a friend of mine rides on as well, and you won't go wrong. The next bit now, it's kind of a bit common sense, but I'm just going to say it anyway. You're going out for your first or one of your early flat pedal rides, you just got to slow it down. Because if you slow down, then you've got more time to actually think about what you're doing, think about your technique, and in particular, thinking about dropping those heels, which is the main thing that being clipped in just lets you skip over. It's the main bad habit of clipped in riders. So slow down, drop in further back in your group if you're normally at the front, to limit your speed and give you more time to think about what you're doing. The second thing I would say is that spend some time doing standing climbing as well, especially on steeper pitches. And it's something that I generally recommend anyway. It's a great way to just be a stronger rider and improve your mountain bike fitness. But I think if you can stand up on the pedals more, then it's going to really promote that good pedaling technique that we talked about. Just watching you doesn't pee on your bike wheel. Hopefully by now I've sold you the idea that flat pedals can benefit your riding, at least in the short term. And if you go back to clips, that's fine. But I also want to tell you why I'm pretty sure, never say never, but I'm pretty sure I'm flat pedals for life. These are just some beliefs I have that may or may not be scientifically provable, but this is what I think. Number one is I actually feel they're safer, okay? You don't get stuck on a flat pedal, okay, like you do in a clip. So in a crash, I can get clear of the bike. And actually quite often, the fact I can dab a foot means I don't crash in the first place, okay? And fewer crashes and more ability to control my body and land and be free of the bike mean, in my opinion and my experience, touch wood, you're less likely to get hurt. That is a big deal to me, okay? I want to just be able to ride. Number two, I feel it's just comfortable. It feels nice and sort of damped because you've got this rubber sole between you and the pedal, so my foot feels more damped. And just for reference, so I didn't say earlier, I did used to clip in for years. Whereas when you're clipped in, you've got this metal stiff insert in your shoe, and then that clips onto metal, and so everything's really quite rigid. You get a lot of vibrations. I feel more connected to my pedal because my foot wraps around it, but it's also more damped and more comfortable. And again, if I'm riding all day or I'm in the Alps, then that's got value to me as well, and it's just something that I appreciate. Reliability is another thing. I mean, how many times have you been on a ride and someone's cleat has slipped, or it's too worn, or there's a stone stuck in it and they can't clip in, and a race run gets ruined or a descent gets ruined? It's never happened to me on a flat pedal. They're more reliable. There's fewer things to go wrong. One less mechanical thing to maintain and to adjust. And the last one I'll say is a lot of people are going to be scared of shinning themselves. And I'm probably going to do it now today when I'm riding for this video. Honestly, I have not shinned myself in years. I don't think I've done it since before COVID, probably 5 or 6 years since I've slipped a pedal and shinned myself, because I ride them all the time and I'm good at riding flat pedals. The only time I ever have any issue is if I'm just pushing my bike around and the pins catch on your calf. That's the only time that I've actually hurt myself on the pedals, basically, that I can think of in years and years and years. So that is why I'm flat pedals for life. And look, it's just my opinion. If you're feeling triggered by this, then maybe go and talk to someone or give me a well-reasoned argument in the comments section. Because I'm not saying there isn't value to clipping in. Look at the World Cups, most people clip in. And if you want to, then that's cool, but don't feel you have to clip in. If you're a beginner or an intermediate rider, then really, do you really need to clip in? Is it actually serving you? Is it making your riding experience better? I think the answer is probably no. So there you go. Opinions are like noses. Everyone's got one, and now you know mine. I'd love to hear yours in the comments. Let me know what you think. and I'm going to be riding flat pedals. Cheers.